Hello, football fans. Welcome to another edition of Atlanta Sports Unlimited's Jocks and Pigskins. This is Tom Pollen, flying solo at the moment. We're expecting Mad Mike of Mad Mike Sports to be on at any time in a little bit. But Dave Holcomb taking the day off. Apparently he's going somewhere for New Year's Eve. And yeah, I remember when I used to go out places for New Year's Eve. Don't do that anymore. But heck, I used to close the bars down on Christmas. Christmas Eve. What am I saying? New Year's Eve. Used to close the bars down in Chicago on New Year's Eve. But not in a long time. So I don't know what plans Dave has, but do want to wish Dave a wonderful New Year's. Dave and his family. He's a father heading into 2024, and full-time father now. So he's going to see how much fun that is as his son keeps growing. But as I say, to Dave, his family, his parents, sister, have a happy New Year. And want to hear what do you guys, what are you fans looking for in the new year? What do you want to see? What are your plans for New Year's Eve? Do you do anything special anymore? Hide out inside and hope that you just get through the day and get through the night. Anybody make it to midnight anymore? Because I know that's the big thing is people, do we make it to midnight or do we fall asleep and just the heck with it? Say we're finished with New Year's now. So be interesting to hear what anybody going out, anybody have plans that for tonight that they're going to take care of. Leave a comment in the comment section. Look forward to hearing it. Anyway, as I say here, we're waiting for Mad Mike. Mad Mike has the link. Hopefully he'll be here in a bit. Do want to thank Chris Smitherman for producing the show, being behind the scenes. Always love having Chris here, especially when I don't have Dave here. Always helps to have Chris. And before we get into the show, want to mention the sponsor for Atlanta Sports Unlimited, Prize Picks. If you're on your first $100 deposit, if you they will match. Oh God, I can do this better at the end of the show than I can at the beginning. I don't know why, but if you sign up with Prize Picks, use the promo code ASU because this is Atlanta Sports Unlimited, and they will match up to $100 of your first deposit. So get signed up. We got playoffs coming up. So you definitely want to get signed up for Prize Picks soon, especially if you haven't been a part of it this year. Join in, get signed up for the NFL playoffs, and be a part of the fun of doing your player props for the season. So going into the show, I know the Falcons had a great week last week. Really took down Indianapolis, a team that was hot, a team that was playing well, and a team that is still actually has a playoff spot in the AFC, depending on how well they finish up. But you got to remember that Falcons Colts did not have Zach Moss or Michael Pittman in that game. So, and not to denigrate what the Falcons accomplished last week in really dominating a playoff caliber team. But you got to look at what they faced, what they're facing heading into the final 2 weeks of the season, and start looking at it as this is pretty much it. And what I do want to emphasize is, it's no doubt that this season has been disappointing. We went into this season thinking that this team had a great shot at the playoffs because of the division, because it's one of the weaker divisions in the NFL. So I know we expected a lot more out of this team. And it's not easy. It's not going to be easy to go through these last 2 weeks, knowing what this season could have been and where some of the failures have come into play against the Falcons heading into this week, being 7-8. Let's see, 7-8, and basically they could be pretty much done with the playoffs heading into the new season, heading into 2024, and as we head into the end of the season, the postseason. So, as far as scenarios go, the Falcons do have to win out. If they want any kind of playoff opportunity at all, they have to win out. If they lose today, Tampa Bay, if they lose tomorrow to the Bears here in Chicago, and Tampa Bay wins, the Falcons are eliminated as far as the NFC South is concerned. The Buccaneers can wrap up the NFC South when they win at home over the New Orleans Saints this weekend. So that road looks mighty disappointing. It's going to be hard to see the Falcons being able to overtake Tampa now. They had their chance, lost to Tampa in the second meeting this year. But you got Tampa facing the Carolina Panthers next week. So if they don't beat the Saints, based on how the Carolina Panthers have played, I would not expect Tampa Bay to fall to the Panthers. And, it looks like the NFC South is pretty much it. We're wound up for the season. About the only chance we're going to have for a Falcons playoff run is if we can get this team into a wild card spot, and that's even difficult because right now the Rams and the Seattle Seahawks hold down the last two wild card spots with 8-7 records. What the Falcons need is, if both those teams win this weekend, by the way, and the the Rams are playing the Packers on Sunday night, which is a winnable game for them. And let's see, we got the Seattle Seahawks are facing Sunday afternoon, facing the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. So Rams and I'm sorry, why am I talking the Vikings? But I got a little mixed up in my playoff scenarios here this week, and I'm sorry about that. Rams are playing the New York Giants. So if the Rams beat the Giants, Seattle beats it's been going to be one of these days, folks. And Seattle beats the Pittsburgh Steelers. Then it's going to be tough to see the Falcons getting a wild card spot. They need losses by the Rams and Seahawks, and I worked out the formula. They need 2 wins. Their best bet would be if if they can pass the Rams, oh, ho, 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 ho.
What's up, Tom?
The great one.
What's up? Nah, you the great one, all right? I concede to you, okay?
Hey, Mike. Doing all right. Glad to see you
Oh,
here.
no. Enough with the pleasantries. It's wartime. It's wartime, right? Chicago Bears versus Atlanta Falcons. So we're not friends today, sir.
Okay. Well, it's on. It is on. It wasn't on. Now it's on. So, but I was talking about this compared to how we entered the season. This has just been a disappointing year. It's been rough for the Falcons. It's been rough to see this team where it is in the last 2 weeks of the season, really needing a ton of help to get into the playoffs. I don't know. What path do you see as far as the Falcons still being able to get into the playoffs this year? And they do have to win out.
Oh, for sure. To be honest, I'm not expecting Falcon to be in the playoffs. Obviously, going into this year, my thoughts were they were to make the playoffs, and if everything were to go well the proper way, without any hiccups. But unfortunately, we lost Grady Jarrett, and that pretty much killed anything. The defense still plays well, but it's coming down to certain situations where we can't close games out because we're not getting the proper pressure up front to get the quarterbacks. We lost close games to Arizona. Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, in certain situations, because we couldn't generate the proper pressure, so it put pressure on our linebackers and our DBs to make plays and make tackles. So, but as far as the Falcons concerned, I'm conceding the fact that this won't be a year for the Atlanta Falcons to make the playoffs. But anything is possible. Anything is possible. They have to win out. And I think they have to win convincingly. They can't come out with a 2-point win, a 3-point win, a 1-point win. Fans are not going to hear that.
Well, that's what I've been saying all year. I want to see this team, and I've been wanting to see this team come up with a statement victory. And they did it last week against an Indianapolis team that was playing well, but an Indianapolis team that didn't have Zach Moss and Michael Pittman in the lineup. So, which, it's still an impressive victory. I'm not going to say it's not.
For sure.
But, yeah, I mean, considering what the Falcons are able to put together with Taylor Heineke in the offense, and I'm not the biggest Taylor Heineke fan. He's not going to take you anywhere over the course of the season. But he has put the Falcons in position to win this year, where Desmond Ridder hasn't. Desmond Ridder hasn't delivered that statement win. That I thought, if the Falcons were going to be a playoff team, I figured the Falcons had to have one, and they weren't able to deliver it. But you mentioned Minnesota. Heineke almost gave the Falcons a statement win over Minnesota, except they couldn't shut down Josh Dobbs.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's been the issue. So the Falcons, for the most part, as a team, they've been in every game. Right? Yeah. They have not been blown out, and I think that's the issue. I think it was 2 games this year, and it was back-to-back Lions and the Jaguars where they lost over 2 possessions. All right, so this team is a well-coached team. I want to dispel that myth that the Falcons is just not Arthur is not a good coach. That's just not true. It's not true whatsoever. You don't. Especially in the NFL, it's hard to be in every single game because certain teams have more experience and more valuable players. So the fact that the Falcons are in every single game by a single score tells you how well coached this team is. But being a well coached team doesn't bypass inexperience, and that's been the issue with Desmond Ritter, the
Yeah.
inexperience. Kyle Pitts, his up and down as far as his route run is concerned. He looked like he's disinterested. Maybe that has something to do with the quarterback position. We'll see. But so far, the Falcons just a team. They're looking for someone to step up and say, "This is my team. Jump on my back."
Yeah. Marcel takes a little exception to the fact that you say well coached. However, I'm going to bring up a little thing that I
I'm the
dug
great one, okay? You look, Marcel, bow down to the great one. I'm the great one. You heard what I said.
up. I'm going to actually bring up something that I dug up prior to this broadcast. Kind of surprised me that everybody looks at Arthur Smith and how this team has struggled, but I think it's been more Ritter inexperience. If you
Hmm.
look at Heineke's starts, the Falcons have scored 29, 23, and 28 points in his 3 starts,
Hmm.
26.7 points per game. And Kyle Pitts actually gets, I think he's had 55 and 64 receiving yards in 2 of these Heineke starts. Ritter has been averaging 17.7 points per game, 10 points per game fewer
Hmm.
under Desmond Ritter than they have under Taylor Heineke. So that tells you a little bit
Yeah,
something about how because Smith's not running a different offense when Heineke's in there.
it's not. Hmm.
So,
It's not.
and as I said, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Heineke. I know what you're going to get out of Heineke. You're going to get good quarterback play. You're going to get steady quarterback play. Sometimes you're going to get bad quarterback play. Sometimes you're going to have him, he's going to surprise you. But overall, I don't see him as a guy that's going to take you to the playoffs. He's a good backup now, but he executes this offense better. So
Hmm.
that tells you, kind of gives you an idea of the coaching. Because, I was thinking, Arthur Smith, the way he calls plays, the way he doesn't use certain players, the way certain guys don't get opportunities. And I still think that's a little bit of a problem. Because I have a problem with Bijan Robinson being third on the team in targets.
Yeah. Um, I don't know how I think about that. To be honest, I think the current NFL, um, as far as running backs concerned, I think that's the way it should be. A lot of teams like to load the box on younger quarterbacks. So I think that's the proper way to go with Bijan Robinson. The thing that I don't like as far as Arthur Smith's play calling is concerned, that he has to call plays for Bijan Robinson in the passing game. And I think with a weapon like Bijan, with a talent like Bijan, he's so dynamic in his own right, just with his skills. You don't have to call plays for him. He's a weapon in itself. If you go through your progression properly as a quarterback and you don't like what you see, just check it down. He can give you 5, 10 yards just off of that alone. So you don't
Yes.
have to call you don't have to call plays. And I think that's the thing with Arthur that's frustrating a lot of people, that he calls certain plays for Bijan when Bijan is a weapon in itself. Perfect example of what he does that doesn't have to be done is the pick that was almost a pick six with Tampa Bay. He doesn't have to call plays for Bijan. Call plays for Pitts, call plays for Drake, call plays for Mac Hobbs and those guys. And if they're not open, check it down. He's a weapon in itself.
Yeah.
He's dynamic in itself.
Yeah, he is. Because he always makes the first guy miss. His yards before contact, I looked at earlier today too. His yards before contact is a full yard above what Tyler Algier will give you.
Hmm.
So he gets to the line, gets through the line faster, and with less problem than in running plays. And in passing plays, he's going to make the first guy miss. Then that's always what you're looking for. So But what I would like to see out of them do with Bijan Robinson more as far as plays is getting him up against the linebacker in the second, getting him on a slant, getting him on a short in,
Mhm.
where he's getting the ball in stride, in speed, and forcing a linebacker to try and cover him, because that's not going to happen. I I get frustrated with the fact that I don't think they give Bijan enough opportunities to catch the ball in stride and do what he does best.
Mhm.
So I would like to see more of that, but um, yeah, I agree with you though. The guy's a weapon, and I think he's been incredible um, for what the Falcons have needed this year, and he's only going to get better. So this is just his rookie season,
Mhm.
but so you got the Bears coming up, and I've been comparing the Falcons to the Bears in one way this year. Ghost peoples, Tom and Madden Light, Falcon family, what's good? We're all good. Ghost people, Ghost Peppers, Ghost Peppers, we're all good. Um,
That's it. Absolutely. What's going on, Rose Peppers?
so, but I've been comparing the Falcons to the Bears in a way that how dynamic the Bears defense has gotten since Montez Sweat has joined the team. And Montez Sweat leads the Bears in sacks. He still leads Washington in sacks, and he leads the Bears in sacks. Now that's just impressive to me. All is all hell, but the fact that the Bears have become a much better defense as far as putting pressure on the quarterback, creating turnovers, and this is still something I want to see more out of the Falcons, and that's one of the things I think that's really been missing from this Falcons defense all season is the ability to generate turnovers. They don't generate turnovers. They don't.
Mhm.
It's been rough. They're 25th in the league in turnovers, even with a safety who's playing at an all-pro level. I don't think anybody's arguing with the Jesse Bates signing these days.
No, absolutely not. Honestly, I think he's defensive player of the year. That's just me.
He could be, yeah, very
I
much so.
don't think it's close. He's second in the league in interceptions. He having a career year in tackles. He's just an absolute leader and just stood. Even though you know where he's gonna be, he still find a way to make plays. So I don't think it. But if you're not Ed Reed and you don't have a Ray Lewis on your team, it's hard to kind of get the recognition that you need. And I think that's the thing too with having a Grady Jarrett out there. He's not
Yeah,
going to get the notoriety that he deserves as a safety.
yeah, I would agree with you. It's amazing because it's amazing what he's accomplished with this Falcon secondary this year, and I love the guy, but he's the only guy who's really generating turnovers, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that the Falcons don't get teams behind the chains as much as they should, and that's because of their pass rush. And I know you're looking. I caught the vid you did earlier today about uh, the Falcons' edge rushers and what they can do, what they need to do against Justin Fields. Why don't you recap that a little bit here right now, as far as what they can do against Justin Fields?
Yeah, I think the thing with the first time the Falcons played Justin Fields at home, I think the thing is um, they really put pressure on the edges and force him to go to the left, force him to go backwards with a lot of. And Justin Fields is the type of guy you have to force him to his off hands. If you don't force him to his off hands, he's dangerous. And the thing about the Atlanta Falcons, it's going to be a test for Justin Fields in itself, is that they like to run a lot of zone blitzes, and we know with him, um, He doesn't go through his progressions as fast as he
Oh,
needs to. And he's a one read for the most part, one read, two read. If it doesn't go well, that's when he panics. And that's the same thing that Desmond Ritter is having the issue with. Everybody know why I say that, but I'll leave that alone. But most quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, athletic quarterbacks have an issue with going through the progressions. And if you have a guy like Jesse Bates and Clark Phillips III right now, who's playing out of his freaking mind, um, they're going to test Fields. So I think this is going to be a battle. I think this is going to be I could foresee this being a high scoring game, to be honest. 25, 28, somewhere in there. I really believe that this is going to be one of those games where Justin Fields, he shows out, this Atlanta Falcons defense shows out, and it's going to be, it's going to be fun to watch. I really, because obviously we know the news surrounding Justin Fields and whether or not he'll be a Bear
yeah.
or he'll be Atlanta Falcon. We know that, but I think this is where Justin Fields, if he wants to be great, this is the perfect time for him to showcase his skills in its entirety. If the Atlanta Falcons want to win the fan base over, they have to shut down Justin Fields. So this is going to be a fun game for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game for me too. But I think the Bears, if the Bears win, they win this on defense. Montez Sweat, it all comes down to their pass pressure, which again has been incredible with Montez Sweat back in the and I hate to keep bringing that up to Falcons fans because but he's made Justin Jones in the middle of the line look a lot better just by being there, on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
So he's made the Bears linebackers look better because they're, because Sweat is great at shutting down the edge too. He's not just great pass rusher. He's a good tackler. He will hold the edge against the Falcons runners, against Bijan Robinson, and he's strong enough to hold up one-on-one against Tyler Algier. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be an easy running game for the Falcons this week. The Bears are third in the league in rushing yards per attempt allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see where you might think that, the Falcons are going to have to make hay through the air, but the Bears are doing much better as far as coverage in the secondary with Jalen Johnson and Joaquin Brisker, and their linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be easy through the air for the Falcons either. This is going to be a challenging game for Taylor Heineke.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not in favor. The Bears fans have not forgiven me for what I said about Montez Sweat and contract. I thought it was an ignorant contract. You want to pay guys after the fact, and he got way too much money, in my opinion, for a guy that hasn't played many games for the Bears, and he's had injury issues. So it's like that's the big thing for me. I never want to. I thought the Bears. Now it worked out as of now, but he's had that's been his issue. It's almost like a Tack McKinley, for example. Like Tack had the physical traits to be able to be a solid defensive player and an edge rusher, but he's had a lot of injury issues, and that's the thing with Sweat too. He's a terrific talent, and if he can stay healthy, now this deal they'll pretty much have a steal as far as Sweat is concerned. And what he's done for that defense, he's freed up guys. That's the thing the Falcons are messing with Grady Jarrett. He commands a double team. And when you command a double team, linebackers, they don't have those big guards, centers getting to the next level, tight ends, chipping them, those things. Those types of things, and They're just having fun. Justice Johnson and those guys, the linebackers, they're having fun. They're getting free. They're getting off those blocks, and it's working out. It's working out with them. So yeah, I think this is going to be a fun game. I think the biggest issue that I have is the matchup. I don't know if this is going to be a good matchup for the Bears linebackers and Bijan Robinson. That's going to be scary for them. Like if they don't tackle well in this game, it's going to be a nightmare because we all know it with Tyler Algier, and he's one of the most underrated players in the NFL. This dude is a juggernaut. When I tell you, he reminds me so much of a Jerome Bettis type of player.
Yeah.
He's just like you bounce off of this guy. He's so physical, and he's like you see guys when he runs, linebackers they get up slow.
They
They
do.
really get up slow. So it's going to be a physical game. I think this is going to come down to Tyler Algier punishing those linebackers and Bijan Robinson being able to get, one on one with those linebackers.
Yeah, I agree with you as far as Tyler Algier. I mean, the guy's a tank. It's amazing how tough he is to bring down and how many guys you need to do it to get him on the ground. So I still wish they would use Bijan Robinson more in the running game and hold Algier. Do you like the way they're using their backfield right now with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier? Because I think Bijan Robinson still needs more touches.
I don't. I don't. I'm one of the few people I don't want Bijan Robinson taking this many hits so early in his career because, you know, uh, running backs, you have, 5 years essentially
Yeah.
of um, just I, he's such a dynamic player. I don't want to use him once he gets past his because you see with Saquon Barkley was used so often early in his career, he's starting to slow down. So
Yeah.
if we can bypass a lot of the physical aspects of his game, and he can just work on being a pass catcher out of the backfield. As time goes on, as time progresses, we'll get 8, maybe 10 years out of him. So I have no problem. I would rather keep drafting a Tyler Algier, run with CP, and then use Bijan Robinson as a specialty type player. So I have no issue with him not getting running touches because, like you said, these running backs are not surviving past that 4th year in the NFL. Once they get to that 4th, 5th year, oftentimes we see their production start to go down.
Well, I mean, we've seen that with Dalvin Cook, too.
Right, right.
Dalvin Cook, the Jets thought he was going to be a great pairing with others in his offense, and Dalvin Cook has been looks like he's kind of the hits have taken their toll. Derrick Henry was just used constantly, and I think that's why Henry's slowing down a little bit late in his career because he just takes so many hits. He had so many carries. He was averaging over 300 carries a season, and that's just too much on the body. That's going to tear up your body.
I think he's doing the right thing. He's doing the right thing by just easing him in the run game. Use CP, use Tyler Algier, and those types of players are replaceable. Tyler Algier is a replaceable type of talent. He's a physical guy. You can get physical running backs out of college, so you can replace those types of guys. But you can't replace a Bijan Robinson, the overall talent that he is. So use him as a specialty back. When you need to make a big play in the passing game, occasional stretch play, wheel right out of the backfield, use him that way. I want to get years. I want to have 5 to 8 years of a healthy Bijan Robinson. I don't want to see him done after 5, 6 years.
Do you think it's going to affect Arthur Smith's job security? Because I mean, he was drafted to be a feature back, but he's not quite being used as a feature back. And do you think Terry Fontenot, that might affect Arthur Smith? Terry Fontenot's decision on Arthur Smith heading into the offseason, I got you this top running back, and you're not using him like a top running back. Do you think that's going to create a problem with Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot?
That's a difficult question because we know where the organization he came from. Um, with the New Orleans Saints. Well, they for the most part they didn't use their backs um, as often as they should have. So I don't think per se that he would have a problem, but maybe Arthur Blank is probably saying to himself, "It's like, all right, we got you this weapon. Why aren't you using him in the running game?" So maybe he's saying it, but I don't think Terry Fontenot has an issue with. I would say, as far as Fontenot is concerned, I think he probably saying to himself, like, okay, we drafted Kyle Pitts. We need to get more touches for Pitts. But I don't think there's a problem with Bijan Robinson.
Well, and that's the thing. And I think and again, I've said that I want to watch some of the All 22 film. I want to break down some of the Falcons games this season because I really want to concentrate on Kyle Pitts and see, because you've said it, that he runs his routes. He's a little lackadaisical. We've had commenters say that he hasn't run his routes as aggressive as he should. And I'm going to look at that. But then again, I looked at some stats today and I'm thinking, Taylor Heineke seems to make better use of Kyle Pitts than Desmond Ridder does. Does Kyle Pitts give a little extra on the field when he's got Taylor Heineke as his quarterback than Desmond Ridder? And is that kind of the difference in the play that we're seeing?
I think so. The thing is with Taylor Heineke, he understands those small intricate details of football, how they extend plays, move to the left, move to the right, step back, step forward in the pocket. And the thing with Desmond Ridder, he's a guy, he likes to stand in one place and try to make plays from that spot. And the NFL is just not that anymore. You can't stand in one spot. You have to learn how to extend plays like a Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, those types of guys. It's not necessarily being mobile, but it's learning how to extend plays. And when you have defenses they have so much technology. They know tendencies of almost every player now.
Oh, yeah.
And become predictable. And that's the thing with Desmond Ridder. He's having a major issue learning how to recognize blitzes and extending plays. And that's where most wide receivers, tight ends especially, where they make their money is when a quarterback extends the plays, they can shake the linebacker and make plays over the middle of the field. So I think that's, if you go back and look at with Kyle Pitts with Matt Ryan, those are the things that he learned. He knew how to step to the right, step to the back, buy extra time for his receivers to get open, and those are things that young quarterbacks they struggle with, is learning how to extend plays and not panicking and just, all right, I see it, I'm gonna throw it. Even if I don't, it's getting past that first and second read. The second read, that's cool, but the best quarterbacks, they know how to get to that third and fourth read by extending plays. So
exactly.
That's greatness. Extending plays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's been the weakness. Well, that's been the weakness with Ridder, and that's also been Fields' weakness this year. And Fields has the ability to extend plays, and that's the problem here in Chicago has been the argument of whether the Bears are trying to keep Fields too stationary, too much of in the pocket, don't go out of the pocket type passer, to letting Fields use his instinct to extend plays and try and find receivers kind of, third or fourth reads, giving him a chance to find another receiver if DJ Moore is covered or or Cole Kmet's covered, Kenny goes somewhere else with the ball. And that's kind of been the frustrating, that the crux of the argument has been Fields isn't enough of a pocket passer. Fields runs too much, but Fields is best when he's moving a little bit and he can add those extra seconds. Because if he doesn't, if you try and keep him in the pocket, he can't make those reads and he doesn't get rid of the ball.
And that's the thing with coaching, especially, and this is something that Tom Brady spoke. Um, Sometimes you have to do what's best for that particular player.
Yeah.
And having Fields stay in the pocket, and this was my frustration with Desmond Ritter. If you look at in college, they moved him around. Again, I hate the RPO because it dumbed down the quarterback. But those things with the option read, the spreads, he needs not necessarily. I would prefer that Fields use a lot more rollouts. I don't see a ton of as many rollouts with the Bears, and I don't understand that. And I think the quarterback coach or the coach is a freaking moron for not using him, especially with his arm strength. That's one thing. If you look at Aaron Rodgers, they always have him on the rollout.
Right.
It's mostly to the right side of the field, but he will, go to the left. So I think coaches and their egos, they want a quarterback to work on a certain aspect of the game, and it's making them uncomfortable. If you look at Steve Young back in his career, the same thing. He was a guy they would always have designed rollouts for him so he can, do his thing. So like a lot of these coaches, man, and the thing with Arthur, he for whatever reason in the first 5 games or so, he just wasn't using Desmond Ritter as a run, and it created that sense of urgency that was that was uncalled for. Just highlight their strengths, devise a plan for their particular strengths, and he would gain confidence. It's all about helping that quarterback gain confidence, and having him stand in the pocket is just the wrong thing for Justin Fields.
I always go back to the Baltimore Ravens. They had Joe Flacco, went into a bye week and said that coming out of the bye week, Lamar Jackson is going to be our quarterback. Well, they had a brand new offense that following week when Lamar Jackson in the lineup. Everything that was in for Joe Flacco was gone. It was all tailored for Lamar Jackson. But it's tough because, you got these coaches that have an ego that say, it's my system and I want to plug him into my system instead of saying, I want to develop my system around the quarterback. And that's the frustrating part. It always gets me. I always go back to the Lamar Jackson incident because it's something that Harbaugh didn't worry about. And it was more of, okay, we got a different quarterback. We got a different quarterback with new skills. Let's see what we can do to make those, to take advantage of them. And it was amazing how they made that adjustment after just a bye week. And we're willing to do it. And I don't think enough coaches are willing to do that.
And that's the problem. It's an ego thing. Kyle Shanahan, for the most part, his entire career prior to Matt Ryan, that was one of his major issues, that he want the quarterback to fit in his system. He nearly got fired in 2015 because he wanted to do things his way. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Roddy Wright, all those guys devised they devised a coup. All right, they were going to overthrow and get him fired. And Arthur Blank said, get it right. Sit down with Matt and make it work. He did it, and that was the best thing for his career. Now you're seeing the fruits of that labor as far as Kyle Shanahan is concerned. He still has issues every now and again.
Yes, he does.
This ego and being stubborn, but this is why his passing offense has improved. Is because now he focuses on the quarterback strengths. and he's not so so stubborn as far as that's concerned. So quarterbacks, just like coaches, just worry about the quarterback strengths and devise a plan, create a game plan to highlight their strengths.
Right. And you think that would be easy. You would think that would be obvious, um, but you look around the league, and I always get frustrated by the number of coaches who say that I'm going to work him into my system, and instead of saying I'm going to develop my system around this player. And I think that's the problem with Luke Getsy in Chicago. He's the offensive coordinator. Is he hasn't done that enough with Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Eberflus is a defensive coach, former defensive coordinator, not as up on offense as you would expect. But yeah, he spent his life coaching defense. So he's relying on Luke Getsy to do what's right for Justin Fields. And that's one of the problems. Luke Getsy, and I think there's a lot of problems with fans in Chicago, have seen Luke Getsy not take advantage of what Fields can do and not let Fields move in the pocket and take a few steps here, a few steps there, and try to find, give himself a little more time to find that third or fourth receiver. Another problem with Fields is he's a see it, throw it type receiver. He's not an anticipation quarterback. He's not going to anticipate somebody coming open and making the throw. And that might be because he hasn't worked with these receivers enough.
Yeah, that's a major problem, and that's something that I've stated several times as far as Justin Fields is concerned. And that's not a coach problem. That's a quarterback's issue. I always say if you want to be great, you have to lead the charge and learn how receivers want it. Play the position myself. So it's like one of the things, if you want to get the best out of a wide receiver, even if he's a second or third, chemistry matters in the passing game. You have to understand how guys want the ball, where they want it, and what makes them tick, what makes them, because Kyle Pitts is a type of a receiver. He's not an alpha personality. So when you have a guy who doesn't have an alpha personality, these guys need to be led. So you need a quarterback that's vocal and assertive to help get the best out of him. Now you have a guy like T.O. or Julio Jones. Look, they are already out. They have an alpha personality. It's like, just give me the damn ball. I don't care where it is. Give it to me. And Kyle Pitts is not that type of guy. So you need a assertive quarterback to get the best out of him. And I don't think that Justin Fields is an alpha personality. I think he has incredible confidence in his ability, but asserting himself as a quarterback. Look, I need you to be here. Do this. He's not that type of quarterback.
And that's the problem. And that's one of the worries I have. If, I know Falcons fans are saying, let's get Fields down here and see what he can do. But I still think you're looking at almost the same thing. You're looking at somebody who's not, again, he's working with new receivers, working with a new offense, and it's going to be more see it, throw it instead of anticipate. If Fields ever did go down to Atlanta, and if a trade, and I think we're going to discuss that a lot more in the offseason, but I know a lot of Falcons fans are pointing at Justin Fields and saying, well, he's going to be available. I don't know if you're getting what you think you're getting out of Justin Fields if he goes to Atlanta.
Right. He's definitely not getting. And then you're going to have to overpay for a guy that you have to continuously develop because he hasn't been properly developed, nor has he asserted himself to want to be developed the proper way. Because when it was the issue with the coaching staff, he was totally against it. All right. And that's one thing about quarterback position. You see Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, most of those guys, they try to spend time with the offensive coordinator to see how he thinks and they're not unwilling to make those changes. So Justin Fields, he's his own worst nightmare when it comes down to his inability to be a quarterback. A guy with this skill set should not be throwing less than 3,000 yards a season. We've seen this 3 years
Yeah,
with Justin Fields, and he's been under
right.
3,000. That's inexcusable. It's disgusting, and it's downright look. It's pitiful,
Yes,
but
it is.
skills. No one with that skill level should be throwing for less than 3,000 yards. He's an incredibly skilled player, but he is crap when it comes down to his mentality and want to be great. He doesn't want to be great. He wants to be the best Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm. And see, and that's the problem I have going into it. Fields will make plays that will make you just drop your jaw. It will just astound you. But overall, if you look at the numbers at the end of the game, he hasn't put the ball in the end zone much. He hasn't completed a lot of passes. He hasn't done enough through the air to get your offense moving, keep your offense moving, put points on the board. That's kind of where Desmond Ridder is. As I say, Heineke puts 10 more points on the board per game than Ridder this season. And that's what it comes down to is I don't think Fields doesn't do enough inside the game to be that great quarterback and to lead. I don't know if he's ever going to have it. I think it's more likely now as we're getting towards the end of the season, Fields might be staying in Chicago, so you might not have to worry about that. So,
The defense is coming along, so honestly, I expect the Bears to draft another maybe a defensive tackle, um, and an offensive lineman. I think they have to improve the trenches. To be honest, I think Fields, like I said, I don't think that he doesn't have the ability, but
he has the ability.
he for whatever reason it's just not clicking to him that he needs to be a quarterback. I don't know why that is, but he believes that him being Justin Fields, the athlete, it's almost like Cam watching Cam Newton, and the Cam Newton now he's saying, yeah, I ruined my career for the most part. I shortened my career because I wanted to do things the way I do, and when I learned how to be a game manager, um, it was too late. So these are the things as a quarterback you learn later, but Justin Fields, I tell people all the time, I'm not a Justin Fields hater. Okay, one of my biggest videos on my channel is Justin Fields. My love for Justin Fields, but I call a spade a spade. He doesn't want to be great. He's incredibly moronic when it comes down to the position of quarterback.
Yeah.
Run around. He wants to do Justin Fields things, and a lot of those habits are formed in high school. And then when you get to high school, and you're going to see a lot of this with a lot of quarterbacks coming out of high school into college. These college coaches aren't helping these guys develop the proper way, and that's why you see the NFL as a mess at quarterback position right now, because they're not teaching them how to be, and they're not stern with it.
Right.
They're stern. You have to, if you want to be great, you have to learn the small details of football. And this is where going to Alabama, this is why they get all the good quarterbacks and all the great players. Georgia, LSU, they teach these guys how to be players of that position. And him going to Ohio State was the worst decision he's ever made. Why? Because they just allowed him to do what he wanted to do, and they didn't teach him how to be a quarterback.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, we've discussed the quarterback situation quite a bit last 20, 30 minutes. Give me a prediction for tomorrow's game. We're here in Chicago. You're in my backyard. It's going to be cloudy, but not expected. It's going to be cold. Not expected to be windy. Not expected to be rainy. So, I mean, you got to deal with a little cold weather. Falcons deal with cold weather fine. Do you think? How do you think this looks for tomorrow?
I think with our running game, for the most part, I think we'll be fine. As far as the running game is concerned, they'll get that going. The thing is Taylor Heineke is a guy. He played with Washington, and he's had experience in certain games. So I think this game is going to come down to who's going to have the most turnovers for the most part. The Falcons have not turned the ball over a lot. And if they can get Justin Fields to throw a couple interceptions or, fumbles here and there, I think the Falcons come out 21-17. But if they can't corral Justin Fields and they let him, gain confidence, this this game could easily go to Chicago. It's all about momentum with Justin Fields. He has momentum. He played well, but if you stop that in the first half, I think it'll go to their way 21-17. But obviously I'm gonna go with my Falcons. But this is a game that could go anywhere. I think it definitely could be a high scoring game. But yeah, it's this game scares the crap out of me. I'm just gonna be honest. It scares the crap out of me, not because of looking to go to the playoffs, but I just think with a quarterback like Justin Fields, man, it's like if he gains confidence, this dude can put on a show.
He can put on a show. That's right. If he feels it early, it could be over early. If he doesn't feel it early, you better, then the Falcons are going to be in the game. The thing is, Bears are 6th in rushing yards per attempt on offense, 3rd rushing yards per attempt allowed on defense. Going to be a tough game for Atlanta rushing the football. So they're going to have to rely on Tyler Heineke, his passing game. They're going to rely on the offensive line holding up. And I do think with the Bears' strength of running, I think the Bears come out on top. So I'm looking for the Bears to cover the 2.5 points in Chicago. So, but you never know. It's going to be a fun game. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to tired of having to monitor the Bears and Falcons on separate.
Right.
during the game. Watching both on the same game is going to be different for me tomorrow.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be fun. It's definitely going to be fun.
One thing I looked, Falcons are 3rd in defensive points per play, 4th in defensive points per drive, 9th in defensive net passing yards per attempt. So that defense is there. It's going to be tough for Justin to move the ball. And if the Falcons defense shows up, I think the Falcons can win this game. So if Justin Fields shows up, then it's a different story. So, yeah, it's going to be a tale of 2 games tomorrow.
Momentum is going to be the kicker in this game. That's going to be the decider, momentum.
Yep. I'm going to finish giving you off my usual picks to finish out the show. If you're looking for some picks to take to the bank this weekend, I got a few for you here. LA Rams -6. They're giving 6 points against the New York Giants. I think the Giants are just about toast. And the Tommy DeVito show is run out of steam. And I think the Rams should be able to win that game by more than 6. They need it for their playoff hopes. They're fighting for a wild card spot. So I say take the Rams. Let's see. I'm looking at, it's going to be rough, but I'm looking at the Baltimore Ravens -3.5 over the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins don't play well on the road, and Baltimore's a physical team, and they like to hit, and that's part of Baltimore's DNA, kind of like Chicago. Hit them on defense. It's one of the things that they do, and one of the things that Miami struggles with. So I'm taking Baltimore -3.5. Buffalo Bills lost to the Patriots a few weeks ago. They were 2-score favorites. Lost by, just fell apart against the Patriots in New England. Got them at home this week. Giving 14 points. I still think the Buffalo Bills cover that spread. So there you go for your 3 picks. Against the spread this week, Buffalo minus 14, Baltimore minus the 3.5, and LA minus the 6. Prize picks. Finish off the show, prize picks. If you have not signed up for prize picks, do it now because you got playoffs coming up. Going to be a lot of fun. If you sign up, deposit, they will match up to $100 of your first deposit. Use the promo code ASU to let them know where you heard of prize picks. So again, you get $100 free for up to $100 of your first deposit. So a great way to get started with prize picks. Again, use the promo code ASU. I do have some prize picks for you today. Let me get those up real quick. Kyle Pitts is only being given 37.5 above and below, plus or minus receiving yards. I'm saying take the plus. Heineke has made use of Kyle Pitts this season. As said, 55 and I think 64 yards of receiving until Taylor Heineke starts. Pitts seems to play better for Heineke, gets free. So take Kyle Pitts with the 37.5 receiving yards. Deebo Samuel, the 49ers, man, did they get their butts kicked last week? It's amazing. I couldn't believe how bad that game was.
That was scary. Look, I don't know if they quit or whatever it was, but that was amazing.
But they are facing one of the worst defenses in the NFL. They are facing the Washington Commanders. I'm saying take Deebo Samuel for an anytime touchdown. And I'm going back to Baltimore. Lamar Jackson over 1.5 passing touchdowns. So we're saying Lamar Jackson gets at least 2 passing touchdowns against the Miami Dolphins. I think he does. He's been throwing the ball well and throwing the ball effectively. So I do like what I see out of Lamar Jackson. And I think those are your 3 prize picks that you can take to the bank this weekend. So Tony Wright. Yeah, San Francisco will rebound and smoke Washington 35-10. I don't know what happened to San Francisco last week. I have not seen a team get smoked that bad. A Super Bowl contending team. Everybody says it's a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah,
They just get smoked that bad.
I don't know. They're it's just a Kyle. It's something about Kyle Shanahan team when it gets to the playoffs. Like they play okay, and then they have one of those games. It's like, hey, these guys are playoff teams. It's weird. It's weird with them.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's weird to see. And it's going to be interesting to see how they enter the postseason. But they need a win this week to keep working on the first round bye. And let's see. Right now, as far as power rankings, I had that sorted by power ranking. Right now, San Francisco dropped from first to second in my power rankings. Baltimore jumped from second to first. Dolphins are third. Cowboys fourth. Bills fifth. Chiefs sixth. Lions seventh. So all playoff teams, all at the top of my power rankings this week. So we'll see what happens as week 17 goes on. Mike, I thank you for being on with me today.
No problem.
It's been, great to have you. I want to thank all the fans who are with us, have stayed with us today, spent an hour of their Saturdays with us. It's always appreciated. And we're coming up on New Year's. Tomorrow's New Year's Eve. So everybody have a wonderful New Year's Eve. Have fun, but be safe. And have a great week, everyone.